We're at that point where Fernando's getting ready to start mounting his fuse holder, and I think he's already got the hole through the firewall, but I kind of want him to explain what you have to do in a Mustang to, well, do it right.
It's no battery, this is electric car. No, it's not. We already took the battery out. This is the tray. It has 3/8 right there. But first you gotta take the battery, remove the two 10mm, remove the harness, put it away.
Now why did you do that?
For us to be able to drill a hole and run our wire, this is gonna be a 0 gauge. You can run 2 4 gauge. You got plenty space in this side right here. You just gotta go under the vent.
Where do you mount the fuse holder?
We're gonna run our wire right here, right behind this, because water comes here and everything. Fuse is gonna be on this side. Put some blue tape. This hole, it's already here. It has a clip. Remove the clip. I'm just gonna put nut in the bolt.
What are we making the fuse holder out of?
We're gonna make our fuse as a 1/4 inch ABS. So this one is gonna mount to the side as an angle like this. We use some of this bolt. It goes there.
Right, through the magic of video, let's take a look at the finished product. And there we go, mounted in place. You can see that bolt right there holding it in. You've already attached it to the battery terminal here. Of course, the battery's not in yet, that's next. One of the things that you guys need to know if you're going to be connecting this to the battery terminal is that Ford anodizes this whole piece right here. They anodize the whole thing black. You have to remove all of that in order to connect the battery here. If you don't, you're not gonna make a good contact at all. We've tested this, it sucks. You lose a ton of voltage, like hardcore lose a ton of voltage. Take a wire brush, scrape this all off, make it all silver, the whole thing through, and you'll be fine.
Get out of my way so I can put the battery.
With all the wires ran, this thing is done. Oh, thank God. Now it's time to get it into the car. Power wire follows the factory harness along all the back here. It comes along to the floor and here, and it's going to go into our distribution block. Our speaker wire and everything will also follow the same route coming in through here and all the way around. The only thing that is going to go over this is going to be the base knob because it's not long enough to do that. We'll make sure we insulate the heck out of it. It's nice and thin anyways. That way we don't run into any issues as it moves forward into the car. I need to make the brace for here and of course start running the wires up front. But the first thing I want to do is get this 0 gauge attached here. We can hook up the battery now and get the car back to on, as it were. We can move seats and stuff. The next thing I need to do is this ground spot here isn't actually threaded. So we have a tap and die set and we're gonna drill in some threads. It's an M6. One of the reasons I like to get the power and ground connected as soon as we get in here is honestly so that I don't forget. Once you start running the speaker wires and RCAs and all that, the installation kind of snowballs and moves a lot faster. And the next thing you know, you're done, and you're going to turn it on, and you realize it's not working, and now you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Only to realize you forgot to ground the amplifier. Alright, now power and ground, both connected, both done. Don't have to worry about that anymore. But what I do have to worry about is a ton of speaker wires and RCAs going up this driver's side of the car. I need to get started on, as well as insulating the base knob. I'm I'll meet you in the driver's front kick area, which is where the speaker wire is headed to use that AR-FO3 harness to plug into the factory amplifier harness. Located high up in the driver's footwell, you see the black, gray, brown plugs. That is the factory amplifier. Ford has been putting some form of an amplifier there on the Mustangs for a really long time, depending on how far back you want to go. Previously, they were located up underneath the rear deck. There was two big amplifiers there. After that version of the car, because it really took up a lot of trunk space, they shoehorned two small amplifiers up into the kick, which has then been graduated into one big amplifier, and that's what they're running with now. We just need to unplug that. We already made the harness. We can plug it in, solder up all our connectors. We are gonna need a couple tools to make sure that everything is the way we want it, because we put speakers in here. We're gonna solder these connections. I don't feel like changing things later or cutting connections. So we're gonna polarity check each one of these now before we solder them together. And for that, we'll need the Mobile Solutions PT98 Plus. I will say getting this thing out is a pain. There's a 10 here, there's a 10 up higher. So if you don't need to remove it, don't. But it is a nice place to hide crossovers. Now it does help to have two of them so that you can do your polarity popping here, connect your wires, and then take this around to farther parts of the car and check. It works real simple. It has two test leads, red and black, connecting to the speaker. It'll make that popping noise. Turn this on to in. There's an in and an out, and then take it over to the speaker. This one is giving us a green light. That means the speaker's moving out. If the speaker was moving in, it would give us a red light. What we're looking for is all the speakers to be moving in the direction we want. We want these all to move green. Move on to the next speaker. This one is also moving green. I'll have Fernando test the other door for me. Getting a green, and we're getting a green there. And lastly, we have the tweeter giving us a green also. Now I can solder in all my wires with my stripes and solids and be confident that this connection will be the way I want it. All the speakers are going the direction we need them to go. All the wires are soldered now. Sorry for not letting you guys watch that boring endeavor. What I like to do at this point is, because like a lot of the times I get pulled away and I never get to focus on one thing. Fernando's asking a question, or Paul asks a question, or I gotta go next door. And before I put the shrink wrap on, I like to just look at every single wire and not be distracted to make sure I didn't goof up. Put my hands on each one, black, black, solid, 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 colored. The ones like these that we run where it's gray and it's orange, it's easy to do. But like on theirs, they have white with a red stripe. That needs to go to this blue, which those are negative, but this is white. And it is easier to check the negatives. And once they're all good, slide the heat shrink over and put your finger at your stopping point. That way you don't have to sit there and try to guess. So on this end we have some shrink wrap. That's an obvious break point, but on this end we don't. I'm gonna wrap it a few times with the exterior Tessa tape. Come back with my interior Tessa tape, which I like to put over these connections like this, because this stuff comes off real easy if we ever need to get to it. And that's it, that's all done. Now the reason why I do this, I don't want to have to pull off 2 or 3 feet of tape trying to find something. I want all my connection points in an obvious and easy to get to, so I can minimize any waste. So if I have to pull this off, I'm only losing 6 inches of tape, instead of like if I were to tape it all the way up into the dash, I gotta pull a lot of stuff apart. I'm gonna get this all buttoned up, get the kick panel, the running board on. The last thing to do is the radio and the dash, and then we can start setting everything up. We'll turn it on just to make sure everything works, but then we have to do crossover calibrator and the DD1. Fernando is anxiously waiting for me. He did call me over because he wanted me to see something. I asked him to rewire the subwoofer enclosure box because we're just gonna run one 10 gauge out to it. He had the subwoofers mounted upside down so the speaker cups are on the top and not on the bottom. Okay, but he goes, dude, you gotta see this.
Alright,
So the subwoofer box was his filing cabinet?
oh yeah, I mean, what better place to hide you on voices than your subwoofer box? There you go.
Good times.
Find it.
Awesome.